We have a documentary that we just finished producing, and when we say we, I mean him. Mike Duran, my director of operations. This documentary was put together with some of our boys, and it was put together with so much heart. These are the guys that have exited. These are the guys, not even all of them, I think it was just those that were around the office that day. These are the ones that make this program work. Because RAGS is not just a collaboration of our justice system, of our police force, of our social services, of our community. It is also a collaboration with those guys who are part of this program, who are the basis of this program, the guys that made this program work and who wanted it designed in the first place, and they are the gang members that we're looking to exit, who have exited. And just before we start, I'd like to say there might be some swear words in here, and I apologize in advance if there is. So I do apologize in advance, and I hope that it doesn't offend anybody. We encourage our guys in moments like this to speak their heart.
Yeah, Giant Studios, here we go. Ever since I seen it, I started feeding the streets are like a beating on stolen cars, repeating, murder numbers, speeding, bleeding. The cops money in the region, retreating, the border beating. Smoking weed and sneaking out to get the gripping while you're sleeping. I'm reaching for the stars, dreaming, the bitter thoughts are sweet. My blood would cold as prison, I'm scheming, I'm empty cheating. My violent ways increasing like murder for no apparent reason. Seeking while my father leaving, screaming on the close, you bleeding, she bleeding for help another heathen. It keeps repeating for so many different reasons. And demons keeping us from God standing. Reading things faster, being heathen, deceiving. Trigger squeezing, moms are great defense of it, the beating. When the beef is reading evil, but conceiving the cheap and fire for kerosene. Keeping the game G while leaning on my home and trying to find a motherfucking meaning. Lord, trying to help me, save me from my enemies, they're driving me crazy.
Was involved with, my family was involved with MS when I was young, and I didn't fall into it till I was about 17 years old. I spent most of my time in the correctional centers and the youth facilities at a very young age, and I seen it all around me, and I just decided to get in, you know, and so they gave me my minutes in, and I did. I was hooked up with them, and I started off as a striker. Foster care most of my childhood, and can't really remember my dad being there, but like on the reserve I remember his face and like shit like that. Other than that, I don't know, it was pretty hard to cope with everyone else's addictions, and hard to talk to someone who is not allowed to talk. You know, or stay, like, my mom was like always in the bar, so I had to like fend for myself. My older sister used to like look after me, you know, make sure I was fed. Then her too, she was up to no good, and she got into gangs and shit. I don't know how I got involved, man. I was just like, I grew up with these boys, and then I had family in this other gang. And like, I was just hanging with my friends that I grew up with from going to school with. And like, I had no idea what I was getting myself into.
And just growing up in the neighborhood, I always been through the ins and outs of everything. Drinking, drugs, everything I have to do from gang life to really trying to make a change in it. It all started off with a big fight with my own family, and I was looking for some backup, and I ran to all my bros, and there was a party. I ended up hooking up with them because I needed backup, and the guy that brought me in, he used to see us now, he was killed down. And the other guy that brought me in, he's sitting in the correctional too for murder charge. And this all started in 2007 when I got done. I felt like I needed to belong in the neighborhood, especially with this group of people.
Growing up and nothing to do, and just the peers that I was hanging around with, family, they were already into the gang life. And I was just like a reserve kid, not knowing. Started off getting high, smoking weed, and eventually grew into, but I started off as a crip, and then I moved over to MS, and from there it just bullshit after that.
From a young age, with poverty, fighting, alcohol, drugs. I got sent to my grandparents' house, my grandmother's house. There was no better there. It's for the simple fact that my dad and my mother were street people. It was just really poverty-stricken. Like, I don't know, we've always wanted stuff and we couldn't do it right, so we just went to residential school. I hated it. Went through some shit there. Foster homes, group homes, Dojack. Just all led up to all that. More or less prepared myself for jail.
My mom, I don't know, she's kind of left me when I was like not even 18 yet. So I was kind of everywhere, staying at every place, anywhere I can find. My mom was kind of, I don't know, she'd rather pick her boyfriend over me, so she said that she probably made me kind of think that she didn't want me anymore. So I just stopped going around, and then every time she tried to see me, I wouldn't even acknowledge her or anything. I just not even talk to her, just take her money and leave.
I was working that stupid, and then it kind of got a lot of jealousy, a lot of censure getting inside. People wanted to start using drugs. I didn't. I don't slam, I don't fix. Money's my high. I always like having nice things to bring home to my family. And getting my boys, their family stuff too, like they're making money, we're all making money. It's good to have nice things.
I grew up in Ontario, Toronto, and then I moved here when I was 13. I was involved with gang life.
It was myself and the director of Heat, who was Scott at that time. And we put an invite out to have about 15 guys come there. The deal was we would supply all the cigarettes they could smoke, we would supply all the pop they could drink, all the pizza they could eat if they would come, and they would talk to us about what they thought would be important in the gang exit program. And we figured at the onset of this that we would maybe have 4 or 5 guys walk in, and that they would probably be all from the same gang, and that we would probably do this for about an hour. We called it for 5 o'clock. At 4:45, we went in there to set up. By 5 after 5, we had 15 guys from 4 different gangs in this city, and 2 females who were also gang involved, standing at that door. What we thought was going to be an hour went till 10:30 that night. So we were 5 hours in that room. 5 hours of talking about what they thought were the most important key ingredients to a gang exit program. We had a gang program. Expect to hear what we heard. We didn't expect to hear conversations on the fact that everybody in that room considered Regina to be a trauma zone, and that they wanted Medivac to come drop in and rescue them. We had guys that were there that were ready to throw their rags right at that night. One of them being Nikki, actually, who actually pulled out his rag and handed it to me and said, "That's it, I'm done. I don't want this. Please put this program in motion." And it was kind of from that day that rags existed. We came up with the name of rags that night. And the idea behind the name REGS was we were looking for an acronym that would be Regina something gangs. And it was Nikki actually who said, well, we should just call it Regina Anti-Gang Services because then we have REGS. And then another young man there said, oh, it would be so cool because you could get somebody to do like a graffiti in REGS and then have an actual rag on the corner of the R. And that actually became what our logo is today. And it was at that meeting where they talked about 24/7. They talked about having a mix of staff that was professional and experiential. They talked about having vehicles that would be recognized as REGS vehicles in the hood. There was like a 25-minute fight over the color of these vehicles. They couldn't be this color, they couldn't be that color. It had to be something neutral. They talked about having a neutral place where they could all go once they had dropped. They talked about having intensive counseling. They talked about addictions. They talked about housing. They talked about all the key elements that form REGS. So as far as I'm concerned, even though the evidence-based research I brought back with me from California, and the evidence-based research that we had found, and there was very, very little of it in Canada, the best evidence-based research was actually these guys talking. And I wish now that we had been able to record it with the camera. We only recorded it on paper. And it really became the basis for the entire proposal for REGS.
I try to change this street mentality, but in all reality, it seems too hard. Battlefields and battle scars take me back to the memories of.
I think the first and foremost thing would have to be body compassion. Right? You have to care about your job and the things and the people you're working with. And also, I've always said, that's a fine line of problem ownership, be able to understand that their failures and their successes are theirs, and our job is to sort of give them the tools to make a better life for themselves, and whether they do that is up to them. So, and it's the understanding of the staff handling. The combination of whether it be past negative life experiences that the ones you can connect to with the guys, or whether it be positive experiences, like say a person who lived a good life and a healthy life, come from a good home, is also important because they also show them and know what it's like to live a responsible life. So it's the life experience and the compassion that they have for who they really be. And I think that's the biggest part.
It means helping people that you normally wouldn't get the help. It's doing things out of your comfort zone and having people watch you so that they learn to do things out of their comfort zone as well. It is getting calls at 2 in the morning and getting up when you don't want to, but you know you're bettering somebody else for it. And it is a whole other level of relationship that you normally wouldn't have. You meet somebody when they're down and out, and then you get to see them progress in the steps in the right direction. You can see them hold their first job, get their GED, start a family, paying bills when in the past they wouldn't get paid, getting driver's license.
Well, we're looking for our guys, so known clients. We were driving by places where either we know they live, sometimes it's where their girlfriends live, sometimes it's houses that are known for either partying or gang associations, gang safe houses sometimes. Any place that could potentially be sort of a point of action, for lack of a better term. Sometimes we're watching where the police are and what they're doing, because sometimes they found our guys before we do. And at that point we'll go and, depending on the scenario, we might introduce ourselves, and sometimes the police want us to sort of, if it's a fairly minor situation, they might sort of hand them over to us, and then we deal with the scenario. In some cases, the guys are cuffed and they're going to jail for the night, but at least they know that we know where they are, we know something has happened, and we're still there and kind of looking out for them. Sometimes we're looking for, or part of what we're doing is looking for people that we know are associated but aren't clients. So I guess, the major players, if you will, who tend to be the ones that are stirring stuff up.
When you're running a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week program, when you have to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and go, that's what you got to do. A lot of these guys weren't able to depend on anybody. Social services, the police, their parents, if they knew their parents, you know, grandpa, or anybody. And what our job to do, like what we need to do here at RAGS, is to be there when nobody else is, and to consistently always be there. That's how we build trust, and from that, great things are possible.
You wanna be a gangster, so you wanna be a gangster. You ready for the crime, ready for the time, so you
We go to communities, schools, jails, treatment centers, conferences, and pretty much where we're invited to speak on behalf of RAGS and get the message out there to our young youth and adults.
It's a lot of like prevention. It's prevention and intervention most of the time. I think, well, I've been there since the very beginning, and I guess I've seen a lot. And over the years, I realized how important the program is and how important prevention is part of it. So, with the presentations and stuff, I've got to travel all over the country and see places and do places that I probably would have never been.
I believe, the clients that do come with me on our trips are, giving back to society for, the things that they've done. For instance, gangbanging, stealing, robbing innocent people, things like that, putting girls on the street. So I believe that, by coming out to speaking to, these young kids, that's giving back, and it's a positive answer to let them know that that's not the lifestyle to go, and there's consequences to their actions.
Well, I talk a lot about myself and where I came from, and how I got to be where I am today. And I know by looking at me, and you probably wouldn't even expect the kind of things that I've been through or experienced or anything like that. And I think when I go there and talk about myself, people are really, like kids and youth and even adults are really surprised of how the program worked for me and everything.
Target for our young kids, the higher ups are out, recruiting and stuff like that. Like I said, they're prime targets, and it's only getting worse out there. So we'd like to get out to possibly every school and get that message out there and let the kids know, that lifestyle's not for them.
Really the game, I'm man's best friend. And you wonder why I still got the hood mentality wrapped in these veins.
So we understand that these kids come from all different walks of life, and they've had maybe not the support that other people have had, and they need somebody to turn to, and they make some bad decisions.
Things about working at RAGS is our working relationship with the Regina Police Service. We're lucky enough to have at our backs one of the finest law enforcement agencies in Canada. With that working relationship, we are able to call into the police station comm center. They will provide support to us if we need police backup for situations that are somewhat dangerous.
You guys have this fantastic program that you're doing, and when you need the support, of course, the Regina Police Service is going to be there to help you guys out, because you guys obviously go into some pretty scary situations.
Through our working relationship with the police, we have access, we're able to gain access to our clients when they're at the police station. Sometimes they call us in for support, to help them support through that process, that side of things.
That's been huge with you guys when we've brought these people back in to tell the truth, and they've got the support from you guys, and you know how it is, they can't wait to get back so they can talk to you guys, so they can just say hi or touch base, and like man, oh man, they're talking about some of the activities that you guys do, or they want to get in there and come into the studio, or they want to see whatever, and so yeah, it's that part I forgot to mention, because it's been fantastic, because it's really, as far as we have our goals as far as finding out what the investigative truth is, the evidence, what that is, but it's kind of been integrated with what you guys have done, and it's been a good relationship working with them as far as, you know, maintaining the contact that you guys have started with them. So it's been good though that they have a hard time coping with it, so they want to deal with it in a positive way, and I think that's a tribute to what you guys have done, because you've instilled that thought into their mind, and maybe they've even been here and they've just been trapped in that, and then they become involved in horrible situations, and from the one that I'm specifically involved in and the other ones that I'm aware of, they're involved in these horrible incidents where people are killed or hurt really badly, and they want to do the right thing, and that's where we come in. We're just there. We're trying to find out what happened, so the person who's been victimized or murdered, their family can have closure to it, and we provide. That's all the police. That's what we do as a police agency. Is we're trying to find out what the truth is, and we're giving the people the opportunity to tell the truth. And it's been supported because the kids that have, I've said they're such good kids that they want to do the right thing, and with the support that they get from you guys has been incredible, because it's backed them up. It's been consistent, and it's been there when they need someone. If we can't provide the support, you guys have provided the support, and that's been huge for us, because I know in a couple of the instances that I'm talking about, the people were reluctant to tell the truth. I knew they basically were saying they had more information, but they were afraid to tell the truth. And with the support that we've got from Rags, from you, Mike, and from Jackie, they came forward and they came and told the truth. Even though it put them in great jeopardy, they told the truth about what they had witnessed or had information about it. And they were willing to do that because they knew it was the right thing. And I think that was supported from what you guys have been, what your program is doing.
You don't know what it means to me. I came on up, but I definitely straight. You don't know what
The college program was actually, the name was designed by the guys. We did a brainstorming exercise where the guys came up with the name, and they wanted to have, I wanted them, and the group wanted them to have a powerful name, because we knew that it was going to be the first of its kind. And so when they designed that name, it was College stood for Changing Our Lives on Regina Streets, and it actually became one of the most highly recognized programs amongst Rags. And in our life skills program, the things that we accomplished and the things that we dealt with in there, as far as emotional growth, mental growth, looking at the behavioral issues of the guys, the emotional issues, developing themselves spiritually also, and the group work, life skills program addressed a lot of those issues. We worked on the human job triangle, we worked on problem ownership. One of the famous ones is the two wolves story, where the guys, either have the choice of feeding the negative or the positive. And it's a story related to us having two wolves in our body, one being good, one being bad, and how we feed that through our emotions, thoughts, and actions. And we've learned about the denial process, defense mechanisms, collateral violence, the impacts of residential schools.
Some of the cool activities that we've done, it's activities like it's showing people how to have clean, sober fun. A lot of the times when these guys grow up, the only way that they know how to have fun or what they consider to be fun is drugs and alcohol filled with violence, and that can be a way of life for a long time. So what we do here at Rags is we try to show them a different way.
And they're all for different reasons. Like, for example, the boat trip was awesome because, like I said, we had Valen out there, one of the boys who been out there, who was scared of water, right? It wasn't comfortable going in the water, and we were actually able to get to go and challenge some of their fears in a healthy way. And using some of that energy that they have to project it towards a positive thing was a good thing. I think having them, experience the freedom of being out on a boat out in the middle of the lake, and just feeling so free I think that's one of the awesome things, to just sit there and experience with the guys. Being able to spend quality time like that and fish, just chat and have one-to-ones, sitting in a canoe, stuff like that, was a really good experience. Another one would be, our ball team, right? A lot of people, and at times we struggled to get people out there, but it was the experience. It was all about providing the experience, right? Otherwise, things that maybe the average person in life gets to experience, and these guys do things that we take for granted, are things that these guys never got to do. And so, opening their minds and expanding their minds is what I really enjoy. Watching them grow is the best thing.
The Shine Studio project was conceived about a year ago. We got some money through a grant through Heritage Canada for us to be able to build a music studio. It was a very exciting process for the guys. We had a bunch of guys that were very interested in music and wanted to express themselves and find ways to get some of the stuff that they had inside out and to get their message out there. So the Shine Studio was created. We built a studio in the Rags office. We were lucky enough to have Regina Police Officer Sheldon Stanky come in and work with us on building the studio, which was a fascinating story in itself. I can remember at one point I turned around to see this Regina Police Officer on one side of a set of beams, and on the other side was a that was so important. We don't glorify gang life. We don't talk about shooting people or violence in that regard. What we wanted to, the message that we wanted to try and get out there was that I wanted to hear about the struggle, I wanted to hear about their lives, but we didn't want to glorify any of that gang lifestyle or gang mentality. So Street Mentality was the result of that project, and that's our first CD, was Street Mentality.
The exit program. We are 24/7, 365 a year. That means if you're in crisis on Christmas Eve, somebody's going to be there. If it's 4 o'clock in the morning and you need to have coffee and talk about something, somebody's going to be there. If it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you're calling for a booty call, nobody's going to drive you. The 24/7 means just that. It means 24/7. It means that the staff at Rags work, sometimes shift work and sometimes just because they're on call, to be there for the guys that are in the program. When we set up Rags, one of the things that was indicated to us from the guys was that they needed a program that was going to be there 24/7. Most things that happen in our city don't happen between the hours of 9 and 5. Most things happen after that. Most of the experiences for our guys, as any services they can get, besides police services, happen between 9 and 5. So that was very important to them. Rags was tailor-made for the gang challenges that we face in Regina. And that's because Rags was actually designed, the inner workings of it, by the guys themselves. By those 15 guys that walked into that room that evening and sat down and talked. What they told us is what we've worked really hard to implement. Rags itself is a collaborative effort in our community of our justice systems, our corrections and public safety and policing, of social workers, of social services, of court systems, of community-based organizations. That's the collaborative part. Without that collaborative part, Rags wouldn't exist. But more importantly as well, Rags wouldn't exist unless the guys themselves that are a part of this program were a part of this program. Right now we're sitting at about 120 guys in this program. Of the 120, we probably have 30 where their cases are ready to be closed because they moved on with their life. They're working, they're moved away, they're being successful, and we talk to them maybe once or twice a month. We probably have 80 that are our intensive caseload, and those are the guys that we work very closely with every single day. We also have contacts. Our contacts are guys that aren't really in our program. They're still gangbanging, they're still getting into trouble, they still have shit going on in their lives. Oh, pardon me, I have a very bad potty mouth. I'm sorry, I was trying to refrain myself. But that contact is very important. I'll give you an example. One of the higher-ups for Native Syndicate has been something that's been on our radar now for about 4 years, and he's also been on the radar of the police. And in the last few months, we've had a little bit of contact with him. I'll see him somewhere and he'll kind of give me the eye or he'll flag me over. One day he rode his bicycle right in front of the regs office just to say hi to me. Those little tiny contacts may mean nothing to anybody else. But to the staff at regs, those contacts are everything. Because that's an indication that somebody wants to make a change. Sometimes all it is just a look when you're driving by somebody and they catch your eye. We're always on the lookout for that. The decision to leave the gangs must be supported by intense counseling and life skills. As mentioned in our video, we have an intensive counseling system and we have a colors program, Changing Our Lives on Regina Streets. That is a life skills program that was designed specifically for gang members. What we did was we took the best of life skills that we could find all across Canada and from some in the States. And with the help of Aaron Desjardins, who's our life skills facilitator, and with the boys who were in that First Colors program, we worked very hard to design a program that would suit what is needed to get out of gangs. Because when you are in a gang, you are dealing with false bravado. You're dealing with a persona that isn't necessarily the person that you're really dealing with. You're dealing with somebody who is using their ego to protect themselves in so many different ways. And I'm not going to talk too much about that now because we'll probably get into that more tomorrow. Your staff makeup requires educational and experiential mix. If our entire program was staffed only with social workers and people that had university education, we probably wouldn't be as successful as we are. Having that experiential mix is so important. Having a staff that is diversified is important. And you know what? As a staff, we fight and squabble all the time. We're like a big family. As a matter of fact, just the other day, I remember sending out a text message to two of my staff that said, all right, you two, back to your corners or Mama is going to put you in a padded room. Seriously, sometimes it does get like that. But it is that that makes it work. It is because sometimes we have difference of opinions and that's okay. Because we lead by example. In the real world, not everybody gets along. We fight, we squabble, we have differences of opinions, but there are right ways and wrong ways to deal with that. And leading by example means it's okay for our guys to see two staff members having an argument about something, even if it's about them. But also seeing how we deal with it, how we problem solve it, and how we do it with respect. By modeling that, of course, our guys start using it. And there is nothing more rewarding to me than to have two guys in the office having an argument about something and have one of the guys say, you know what, let's go into the healing room and talk this out. Because that's what's important. Let a little bit of smudge, and have a serious conversation about it. Because when you have a program like RAGS, sometimes you have 6 gangs in one room.
You might want to describe smudge.
Oh. Smudging, what we use in the office is usually sage and not sweetgrass, just because we have females in the office. And it's just a practice of cleansing. And it's an Aboriginal tradition. It cleanses you, it helps you think clearly, and it's our way of asking the grandmothers and the grandfathers to be with us when we're dealing with a conflict. And that's something that we practice as much as we can around there. Building trusting relationships is paramount, absolutely paramount. This program is built on building relationships. You cannot expect guys to drop out of gangs or to feel that they can trust you or to feel that they can come and talk to you just like that, because it doesn't happen. When somebody comes into our program, we wrap around them. I have guys that have come into that program that don't ever want to talk to me. It takes them weeks before they want to talk to me. They're probably more comfortable talking to Mike. Sometimes they're going to come in and talk to Rob or Josh, sometimes Daphne. It just depends. So whoever can reach that person is the person who is going to be there for them. And building those relationships are so important. We smoke in our office in a city where they don't allow smoking anywhere. You can come to the RAGS office. And the reason we do that is because we find that that is an icebreaker. We find that anybody who can come in and light up a cigarette and talk and have a cup of Timmy's, because there's always Timmy's going in RAGS, feels immediately comfortable. When you walk into our office, you see that. You feel the comfort. It's like walking into a home. And we do that on purpose, because at RAGS, we are a family. And we encourage all of our guys to be a part of that family. Like I mentioned, sometimes we have 6 different gangs represented in that office. We don't use the word brother very much. We use the word brother. We worked very hard to create a family. I'm kind of the mom of that family, and I'm very proud to say that I gave birth to probably about 120 guys, and I have no stretch marks. At present moment, 100% of our clientele is Aboriginal. We have had a few white guys come through our program, and they have moved on. We had a little triad that came through our program who's now living in northern Saskatchewan and doing quite well. But it's very rare that we have anybody in our program that is not Aboriginal, or at least half Aboriginal. It's just the makeup of our program. The primary goal of RAGS is to reduce gang-related criminal activity in the north central area of Regina. That's our hood. Committed by young Aboriginal gang members. That's our primary goal. That's one of the big reasons that we exist, and that's why we have such a close working relationship with the police. But what we understand is that just pulling somebody out of a gang or having somebody drop their colors is just the tiniest little bit of it. Because underneath that, there's layers and layers and layers of work that needs to be done. Most of the guys that come into the RAGS program have had violence and crime and criminal activity and everything you can think of, addictions, everything is normalized in their life. They beat on their women because they grew up watching their mothers get beaten. They put their girls out on the street because they grew up watching their mothers go out on the street, their sisters or their aunts. They've never worked and they have no work ethic, not because they're lazy or they're dumb, but because that's the work ethic they knew, was dealing drugs. To a certain extent, we all are what our past is, to a certain extent. What you grow up with sometimes becomes what you are. For a lot of our guys, they're very systemized, and they don't know a different way. For Rob and Josh, we're insane kids. That's an amazing experience. As amazing as it is for myself and for Mike, I'm sure it's even more amazing for you guys. For Josh, it was his first time on a plane. And even on a little plane, too. We engage our clients in an intensive and unique daily service. We do life skills. We do intensive counseling. We do whatever it is that we have to do. If you come in and tell me that to drop your colors, you need to worship a blue ostrich on the third Thursday of every month with the letter R in it, I will find you that blue ostrich.
Correction, I will find that
Yeah, that's true. Mike will find the blue ostrich. Because this is what I do to Mike. Oh, Mike, I have a great idea. We need to do this by tomorrow.
Yes, ma'am.
Like I said, I have the best staff in the whole world. They don't like me all the time, but I sure love them. We mitigate the risk of gang involvement by providing alternatives to protected pro-social competencies and attitudes. I can't believe I actually wrote that. That's a mouthful. By pro-social, that's just what I'm talking about. You want to get these guys outside of their comfort zone and taking risks in life that are positive risks. Sometimes getting a job is a positive risk. We have guys that will go and they will be so up on working, and then they last a week and they can't get up anymore. Because sometimes just the simplest thing of knowing how to get up in the morning becomes a great big huge barrier. So that's what part of our life skills program is too, is working with these guys to bring them so that they know themselves, they understand where they come from, who they are, why they are, where they need to go, how to get rid of that ego, how to get rid of that anger, how to deal with that resentment, how to deal with that rage. And for some guys, they can come into that program, and after that program, they're well on their way. And for other guys, 2 or 3 times is what it takes. Sometimes everybody's different. Sometimes it takes something else. It's a self-referral program. We don't allow anybody to refer to RAGS. In order to get into RAGS, you yourself have to make the phone call. The police can maybe recommend you come in. Judge Newton can recommend that you come in. And I remember once explaining to a group of judges why RAGS was self-referral and that it couldn't be court-imposed. Because in order to come into RAGS, you have to be real. You have to be real. You have to want to make that change. Even if you have this much of you that's curious about making a change, that's enough. But you have to want it yourself. You have to make the phone call. You have to find Mike. You have to find me. And you know what? We're a really underground program. We don't do a lot of media. We're as underground as you can get. And you know, our guys will find us. It's amazing where they find us. They find us in the penitentiaries, where they're serving time 2,000 miles away from Regina. They will find us at 3 o'clock in the morning, for some reason, with my phone number, calling me, and I don't even know who I'm talking to, but I'm pulling my ass out of bed and going to get them. They find us all over the place. We work within our community, and when I say our